Okay guys, so this week we are going to make a start on fractions. The first thing we're going to be looking at is simplifying fractions and finding equivalent fractions. So just a reminder that the top number is called a numerator and the bottom number is a denominator. So simplifying. This means we want to get our fraction down in its simplest form. So we're going to make the numbers smaller. So if I've got 16 over 20, we need to think about the factors of 16 and 20. So remember last week, we looked at factors. So I want to think of a number that I can divide these two by. So I know that 16 and 20 are in the 4 times table. So I can divide them both by 4 and that will give me 4/5. Also, I know that these numbers are even, so they could be halved. So if I divide them by 2, that gives me 8 over 10, and they can also be halved again, and that gives me 4/5. So equivalent fractions just mean fractions that are equal to each other. So this time you get given a fraction, and then you get given part of another fraction. So we need to find out how we've got from 5 to 20. So I've timesed it by 4. 5 times 4 gives me 20. Now, whatever I do to one number, I have to do the same thing to the other number. So that means that the top number also needs to be times by 4, and that will give me 8. So 2/5 is equivalent to 8 over 20. Okay, we've got some mixed and improper fractions. So an improper fraction is top heavy. It means the top number is bigger than the bottom number. So the bit at the top is telling us how many parts are shaded in, and the bottom tells us what the shape is divided up into. So we have our shapes here, they're split up into 6 parts, and there are 7 pieces that are shaded in total. And then a mixed number, that's made up of a whole number and a fraction. So the whole number is telling us how many full shapes there are coloured in. We've got one little bit left over, and then the shape will be split into 4. So as you can see, 2 full shapes, one little bit left over, and each of the shapes is split up into 4 pieces. So we can convert between the two. So this picture here, I've got 1 full shape shaded in and 3 bits left over, or I have 9 shaded bits altogether. And the 6 is the same on both because the shapes are split into 6 pieces. So if I want to convert from a mixed number, the first thing we want to do is multiply the denominator by the whole number. So 6 times 1, that gives us 6. And then we add on the top number. So 6 plus 3 gives us 9. That's where this 9 over here has come from. And then if we want to go back the other way, so starting with the improper fraction, we're dividing. So we're saying how many 6s can we get into 9? Well, that's 1. So 1 whole 1. And then how many bits are left over? Well, that would be 3. So that's this 3 up here. And then remember that the denominator always stays the same. So if we're looking at expressing an amount as a fraction of another, if I want to write £5 as a fraction of 20, that's just 5 out of 20. And then I can simplify down. I know both these numbers divide by 5, and that would give me 1/4. And then I've got another example here. If I've got a class with 30 pupils and 12 of them are girls, what fraction of the class are girls? Well, that's 12 out of 30. And again, we can simplify down. I can divide them by 6, and that will give me 2/5. 2/5 cannot be simplified any further. Both of those numbers are prime. The last thing is finding fractions of an amount. So if I want 2/5 of 20, so I've got 20 circles over here, the first thing is to split them into 5 equal parts. So we're doing 20 divided by 5, which gives us 4. So I've got 5 piles of 4 circles. But we only want 2 of these fifths. So that's 2 bits. So 4 lots of 2 gives me 8. So if we have a go without pictures to help us, if I want 3/7 of 49, I'm doing 49 divided by 7, which is 7. And then I times that by the top number to give me 21. And then I want 5/9 of 108. So 108 divided by 9 is 12. And then 12 times the 5 gives me 60. So your tasks, again, check if you're Key Stage 3 or Key Stage 4. Key Stage 3, your CGP guides are not that great this week. So what I actually want you to do is have a look at the first 5 links below. And just everyone remember, with these links, they are quite repetitive. So if you know what you're doing on one of the sections, move on to the next section. You don't need to do all of the questions in that section. So Key Stage 3, please make sure you do the first 5, do some of the first 5, and then you can go on to these ones at the bottom if you want to. As always, there's exam style questions at the bottom. So year 10 and year 11, please do try and get onto those. And then if anybody wants to challenge themselves, you can also go on to have a look at the exam style questions.